was reading your response. I was like, yeah, okay. Okay. This is Harry Jr. I like it.
Harry.
Eh, Harry Jr. to a certain extent. Jen sought input from us and
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
us read it before she fired it off.
Yeah, that's not what Harry would have done, but I like speaking about myself in the third person. Right, Biscuit? Biscuit and I would like to welcome everybody to BeerNet Radio's Wednesday Warehouse, where we go over the week's news. I'm here with editors Jen Litz Kirk and Jordan Driggers. And what's happened this week, Jen?
Geez, what has happened this week?
What hasn't happened?
What hasn't happened? We had obviously rescheduling hit the news last week, which we were just talking about cannabis and D9. Obviously, that could help with the onerous taxes, we think, right? Could make it easier for these people to do business. And we've got all these, it seems like fights in different state houses around the country, also looking at D9, either codifying that at the state level or which the new farm bill, by the way, which has seemed to be evolving. That does seem to stay in the new farm bill. It doesn't seem to completely outlaw intoxicating hemp, but rather to say, look, it's up to the states. And as we were just talking about, and I don't know if Harry's going to cut this or not, there's been a showdown in Cali over D9. And it had looked like last week, like D9 was going to skate through. But then at the end of the day on Thursday, that bill got revived. And it looks like nothing has been finalized yet, but it looks like D9 might be shut down in that state. And as California goes, as we know in the beverage industry, so go a lot of other states, right? So that will be interesting. Obviously, we had the huge Gallo Montucky Cold Snacks news, which is one source told me I did not have that on my bingo card, right? Like,
Right.
this is probably too early in this conversation to say this, but you kind of wonder who else did they look at? Or did they always want to have a beer brand? Or did they look at like a Surfside, right? That is kind of like, a far second to High Noon, which also is with a lot of beer wholesalers, right? Because we know that part of this play for sure was strengthening their malt distributor route to market.
Right. Don't they own Fisher's Island?
Yeah,
Yes.
but
That's
that has not been doing so fantastically lately since they acquired it. I mean, it was already kind of having a hard time. And that's what's interesting too. And then I'll stop sucking up all the air. But after the news broke last week, and several things broke on that same day, we could talk about the AB distributor deal too in Texas. After the news broke, we wrote up kind of a grokking piece, and we had Dave Williams from Bump Williams pull the share and the trends from all of Gallo's RTD brands. And it was interesting because that VNC Canelo brand that they, I guess, basically brought to the States last fall, which, by the way, VMC, did I say VNC? Stands for Viva Mexico Cabrones.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
people should have to say the full name of that product every time.
Viva Mexico Cabrones. I
but
love cabron is my favorite
yeah.
pejorative.
Ooh, we should make t-shirts. But anyway, and then get sued by Canelo and then go viral. Anyway, that brand already has as much share of RTD spirits year to date in its infancy as Fisher's Island, Waterbird, and Salt Point, which are the other two that Gallo sneakily bought under the radar around
Yeah.
the same time as Montucky.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
it's hard
like,
to get
yeah,
news out of Gallo. They're privately held. They don't have to tell
exactly.
anybody,
Well, and that's part of their power too, right? They don't have to disclose things on a quarterly earnings statement. They can take a short-term hit for a long-term, want view, right? And so it's
Oh,
interesting. But yeah, the other thing that's interesting to me is that, everybody's like, wow, Gallo, they're on fire. And they are, but really the only thing that's differentiated them from the Gallo of old, the wine juggernaut that trained everybody in the beer industry as well, is the fact that they've had such a successful brand in High Noon. But like, is that a one-hit wonder? We don't know. I mean, can they make this
yeah.
big new, company on a
Oh,
hill with all these RTDs and then make that last? We'll see.
they're building a portfolio so that, I think Britt mentioned that they want a route to market through the malt network, meaning the beer network, and
Mhm.
but they need a little bit of scale.
Mhm.
And Montucky's growing. It's a, it's it's kind of the new PBR, if you want to
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah.
A great growing brand. Everybody has nothing but praise for Gallo. They just seem to be really good operators. Like you said, Jen, they train everybody in the beer industry either came from Pepsi or Gallo.
Mhm.
They have good salespeople, good network, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with Montucky. Is Montucky Nation? We're going to have Chad Zeltner right next.
Yeah, on Friday we're
podcast.
gonna have the co-founder of Montucky. But yeah, they're like in just under 40 states, and
It's
they're
pretty close.
obviously yeah. So
Did they sell it in Texas? I haven't looked.
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
That's
Okay.
one of their biggest markets.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to go to Total Wine and just browse the cold box because that seems to be the collector of everything. If you need something, go to I was talking to Sammy at Happy Dad, and I was like, I can't find Happy Dad at HEB. He's like, go to Total Wine. I'm like,
I
okay.
see. You know what? They have really increased their distribution lately because I definitely see Happy Dad at least at my HEB now.
Right.
Yeah,
It's sold by RNDC, which there's a lot of buzz about a lot of stuff going on at RNDC at the moment. I think they had pretty big layoffs last week.
Hmm.
Sorry to say,
Oh, right. That's
a lot of people have left the building over there, and the word on the street is that they lost Proximo in some of their markets, which is Cuervo, which is a big brand for them.
Right.
So that's interesting. Um, Despite the Mitchells saying that there was no deal just 3 weeks ago,
Here we go. Yeah.
Suncoast out of Florida has purchased Silver Eagle here in San Antonio, the AB distributor. Um, the word on the street again is that they've partnered with the Bass family out of Dallas, very wealthy family office, to help finance that. Unconfirmed, but it's just we're hearing it from too many sources, so I feel pretty comfortable saying it here. I've also heard the price tag was ginormous in that we're hearing 16 times EBITDA.
Whoa! Holy
Well,
shit!
yeah, which is like $400 million.
Wow.
So yeah, big deal. And I kind of would have expected L&F distributing in the Valley to pick it up. But the Mitchells got it.
Hmm.
So, importantly, Silver Eagle does have the Modelo Constellation brands here. And so, any softness in Bud Light is more than made up by the Constellation brands.
Mhm.
So that's a big acquisition. And there's a lot of big money now. That's just yet another family office, if that's correct.
I don't think it's, well, I guess the Bass family might be, right? Like,
Yeah, it's a family
yeah.
office.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, they're a big oil family, generational. They've been around forever.
Yeah. But then Tim Mitchell, right? That's just a family-owned distributorship.
Yeah.
Because they have, where are their other ones, Jordan, in Florida?
Florida and Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Naples. One of the brothers, I believe, is going to come here to run it. And they had an all hands meeting last week and assured everybody that they would not have to reapply for their jobs and that everything's safe. Everything's going to, business as usual for the time being, at least. Kind of like what Redwood did for Silver Eagle in Houston when they bought it. There wasn't like mass firings or anything. And, I think a lot of these family offices are just looking for a steady return. It doesn't have to be a huge return. It's as long as they can get like a steady 10 or 11%, then they're happy because the markets, everything's so volatile, especially right now, that you want to count on income, even if it's not a huge return, it's going to be there because the beer industry is so constant. Well, we thought it was constant last year, but.
Well, I have something to circle back to there later. Well, we can talk about that at the end, but yeah, talk about the beers industry's constants.
The beer industry's constancy.
Going back to Gallo, because Britt says that they're going to stick with High Noon or keep High Noon with their wine and spirits distributors. I mean, do y'all really think that'll be the case? I mean, it seems like there's just so much opportunity with beer distribution, and I think that might be what they're seeing. What do you think High Noon could do first? What could you see them doing first? Making a malt-based version of High Noon,
Right.
or just a non-alc version of High Noon?
Oh man, I hope the answer is malt. I freaking hope the answer is malt.
Or wine based.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Jordan, I
Okay.
think it depends on the market. I think like in Texas, it doesn't make any sense for them to go in the beer network because C stores and grocery stores can't sell liquor-based RTDs. And so in states like that, and like Britt said, he spoke at our summit last year or this year,
This year,
earlier
yeah.
this year, right? And he said that for malt, anything that comes in a tall boy should be sold through the beer network. And I think he said that.
Yeah,
Right?
He was talking about the VMC brand, and he's like, we envision tall boys and convenience and all this boxing signage, and that fits with beer distributors. So
Yeah, to your point, Jordan, I mean, I think this is an interim move while he's hoping that laws change and more convenience stores can take spirits based, but that's probably been slower than the spirits cohort would like to see evolve.
It just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as Discus is focused on it, maybe I think Vermont, but who cares?
Yeah.
They have
Who
like
cares about
20,000.
Vermont?
Yeah, I mean, there's no
F
people
Lake
there.
Champlain. Yeah.
And I wanted to have Sarah Barrett, our wine and spirits editor, on today, but she is at NABCA,
Oh,
the
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
National Association of Beverage Control Associations, or something like whatever NABCA stands for, but it's the control states.
Yeah.
So we'll see what she brings back from that. That's always a good convention because there are no holds barred. It's just a bunch of drunk regulators running around. And nothing better than drunk cops, right, Biscuit? Biscuit loves drunk cops. Biscuit, wake up.
If they're slow enough for her to chase.
Oh, Biscuit got into a skunk again.
Oh,
Yeah. It's not fun. I think it's the same damn skunk. It's just it lives back there.
ooh,
Yeah.
Biskunk. When she gets into the skunk, she's Biskunk. Like,
yeah. Hey, Biskunk. Go back to sleep. We're not talking about you. Like just to kind of quickly summarize Binge's conference, there's a lot of talk about how crappy April was for the beer industry, and Easter timing, bad weather, Mercury's in retrograde. But like Jim Cook said, April showers bring May flowers, which is a good way to put it. And May picked back up, and I think we're good. A lot of talk about the Gallo deal, about everybody wanting to get into the beer business. We've said that before. Jim Cook said, distributors are going to win again, beer distributors, because that's where everybody wants to be. If you want to sell liquor in a can, you kind of want to be in C stores, and the beer guys are the ones that cover the market there. I thought Nick Modi's presentation was the most compelling, which is why we covered it. When I was writing it up, it occurred to me that I was like, this is really similar to what Norman Adamy, a speech he gave at our summit back in 2006. It's still true today that, if you say the beer industry is down, but look at all these brands that are just kicking ass, that, light lager brands. So, light beer is not dead. It's doing pretty well. It just kind of depends on the brand. A lot of big consumer good categories have gone into decline, but have been resurrected. And especially like big carbonated soft drinks and disposable razors and, bottled water. And like Nick says, it kind of depends on what the industry leader, if the industry leader isn't propping up and investing in the brands, then you're going to have a category problem, at least optically. And hold on, lost my train of thought.
no, it's just there's so much brilliance in your brain. Like it's gotta work its way through. But here, let me bring you back to parts of the picturesque write up from Nick's speech. Is the frog in the boiling pot of water.
Yeah, which is funny because that reminded me of a speech that Bill Coors made, back in like '99.
Wow.
The same analogy. We're all just getting slow boiled.
Well, you know what? And that's funny because I think it's an appropriate metaphor for the moment because, we're wondering, do we not just have a brand problem or a category problem? Yeah. Do we have an existential problem? Like, is Beval going away because it's quote unhealthy? So, is it the boiling pot of water or did the frog just fart behind the lily pad and it's just a blip that's not a big deal?
Right.
This too shall pass. But what
For
does
sure.
Lester say? Is it 1 gallon of ethanol per person every year? Or how many gallons of ethanol per
22.
person? 22. Okay.
Uh, but there's some cracks in Lester's data. In the last year and a half, that number has dropped by like
Mhm.
a full gallon and doesn't seem to be coming back. So I think there is a little bit of softness in how much people are drinking.
Mhm.
Jim Cook estimates that we're losing about a 0.5% to cannabis. And
That
then,
sounds low. I mean, but maybe not. Sounds low to me.
well, he just said he doubts it's over 1%. And it's not zero.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's just so, gosh, it's so hard to quantify. We really just don't even really know. But, the point is that cannabis has always been around. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
not like it's just a brand new thing. It's
Right.
very
True.
easy to get where it's illegal. Uh, just ask any of my three sons. Um,
It's it's the easiest it's ever been to get right now with Delta 9 too. So I think we're actually starting to I think we dodged, a good bit of that with recreational states opening up and now with Delta 9 and it actually sitting in the same stores as alcohol, starting to actually see the impact. But I thought Nick also made a good point of, are you in the beer business or are you in I think he
Mhm.
said mind altering or
Mood or mind
mood.
altering. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really where we've seen beer go, certainly with distributors, with energy drinks and now getting into Delta 9 and anything that they think, okay, this is something that needs to be handled with care. Beer distributors have kind of latched onto that and say, hey, we're the best at doing this. And, it's in cans. And I think the suppliers, the brewers have followed suit now saying, okay, well, we can do that too. We can make all that. And let's give the beer distributors, what they're already selling, but let's supply it.
Mhm.
And if we start thinking like that, I think we'll be in better shape. And I, what's going on with Premium Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, Bud Light. I don't know how you resurrect some of that because the marketing for, since I've been working here, there's been huge hits with Dilly Dilly, with Made to Chill. And it hasn't seemed to really lift those brands at all. You almost kind of wonder if they just got too big and they needed to come back down to a base.
Dilly Dilly especially has nothing to do with beer. And I think one of Nick's points is we need to market to occasions, not just to make the ads funny,
Yeah.
just for funny's sake, like Corona and Modelo have done, and some other brands. You can invest a lot of money and not make a dent, which that's
Right.
the problem with marketing. Is it's not very scientific. It's very subjective.
Mhm. And how they measure the impact of their marketing campaigns. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a real lack of consistency also that everybody changes campaigns every few years. Taglines change but AB is pretty invested in easy to drink and I think that's a pretty good proposition for that brand. Everybody's drinking Modelo and I think we're gonna report at some point that Modelo has this appeal, this kind of mass appeal. Finally, it's the number one brand in a lot of channels, in some channels at least. And Walmart is doing a loss leader nationwide on Modelo, And the reason they're doing that is because Target has reduced pricing on a lot of their staples, eggs, milk, all the things that drive traffic. And really nothing drives traffic like beer. And Walmart is responding by going even deeper on those staples, including beer, and they chose Modelo. I think that's probably the right choice because that, especially with Hispanic shoppers that they want to appeal to, brings them in the store. It's going to be hot Modelo summer. I'm calling it.
Well, caveat to that, in our reader survey, in our distributor survey a couple weeks ago, the number one concern from Constellation wholesalers was being able to keep inventory, being able to keep stock for summer, because that's something that they grapple with every year, right?
Yeah.
So if it's already going to be a hot Modelo summer and Walmart is deeply discounting this, that sounds like a tricky situation. I'm not saying that they won't be able to keep in supply, but I'm just saying.
It's a lot easier for an AB to keep people in supply when you have 11 breweries. Yeah, you have 11 breweries scattered all over the country, and then Modelo, Constellation, they're not even in this country, and they have to cross either the border, they have to come by boat, and there's just a lot of extra steps there. All right, well, anything else I'm missing?
I think we covered it all.
Biscuit, you got anything to add? No?
Oh, Dobesky.
All right. Well, listen, don't do anything I wouldn't do. I want you guys to have a good week. And I'll see you on Friday when we're gonna bring this Montucky. We're gonna get to the bottom of this shit. I'm tired of being confused. I need to be educated, and we'll shout at you then. Take care.
Awesome.
Peace.
Bye.